Sharon, show our guests the door.
So before you check into this show, here's what we're going to check out. A brief history of the John Wick franchise to this point. What is the Continental, both the show and, well, the building? Who are the characters and who made it all happen? Besides just Keanu Reeves' general greatness. Okay, let's go. So, do we need a John Wick movie recap? Well, that's basically asking if we need more Keanu Reeves in our lives, and the answer is unequivocally and always yes, but I promise we'll make it quick. So the first movie kicked off the franchise in 2014, introducing Keanu's John Wick character, a retired and legendary assassin who basically sets out for some serious revenge after his super cute puppy is killed. Now, I actually love the puppy's name Daisy so much that I gave Keanu Reeves a bouquet of daisies when I sat down with him for an exclusive John Wick Chapter 4 interview for Rotten Tomatoes, so check that out on YouTube if you haven't already. But this first film actually set the tone in a couple of ways. Starting with Mr. Reeves himself, who, if you didn't know, did 90% of his own stunts after doing intense weapons and martial arts training for 4 months prior. It also helped that first-time and so far only director Chad Stahelski worked with Keanu as a stunt double on the Matrix trilogy. Isn't that so cool? So in other words, safe to say, they're not going to be messing around when it came to action. And of course, John Wick kicked open the door for multiple sequels, each one more successful than the last, by the way, along with video games and comic books and all the franchisee type things. 2017's John Wick, Chapter 2, found the lead character once again forced back into his old life, this time to fulfill an oath to a crime lord. Now, our boy Keanu added in jiu-jitsu, driving, and marksmanship training to his workout plan this time around. And what do you know? Chapter 2 earned double the first one's $86 million haul. Insane. It also happens to include my favorite Wick fight of all time, the pencil fight. I mean, the man can kill people by pencil. Moving on to Chapter 3, Parabellum, which came in 2019. And it found John as the one with a target on his head this time, as he was being chased by the world's most ruthless killers. No big deal. Now, John Wick Chapter 4 arrived in 2023, with JW now seeking revenge against those who had previously left him for dead. And it somehow managed to make more money and earn higher tomato meter and audience scores than its predecessors. I mean, the better it gets, the better it gets. And I mean, geez, no pressure for the Continental, I guess. And maybe we should start talking about that because that's why you're here. So speaking of the Continental, what exactly is it? Besides, you know, a kind of breakfast, of course. Sorry, I couldn't resist.
Admission for the Continental breakfast.
So in the world of John Wick, the Continental is an international syndicate of luxury hotels catering to big-time criminals where assassination assignments are safely exchanged using special gold coins that are pressed in and distributed by the house. So there's also a bunch of rules, like a no-violence policy, ironically enough, enforced by the guy who runs it, Winston Scott, played brilliantly by Ian McShane in the movies.
Enjoy your stay at the Continental.
So this new 3-part series is going to explore not only the origin of the hotel, but also how Winston came into the position that he's had for 40 years when we meet him in the first John Wick movie. And since they are going back 40 years in this prequel spinoff, the choice was made to reflect a historically gritty time in the 1970s when New York was bankrupt and Newark was pretty much on fire and the streets of Manhattan were basically in the middle of a garbage strike and had literally become a dump. I mean, is this when the whole rat thing started over there? No, I'm just kidding.
I'm not the f***ing rat.
No, but seriously though. The Continental is the beating heart of this franchise, and once I heard that there was going to be a TV show about it, I was sold. Because when I saw the hotel scenes play out in the first film, I was obsessed and I wanted to know more, so I can't wait to learn more about this hotel and honestly what their robes look like. I can't resist a good hotel robe, you know?
How about the lining? Tactical.
All right, let's get into the who is who of it all. So, as you can imagine, we're not going to see a ton of familiar characters given the 40-year difference and the short lifespan that goes with the assassin profession, I would imagine. But we are going to meet a young Winston Scott, played by Colin Waddell, who you might remember as the unlikely villain on The Flight Attendant. So the director, Albert Hughes, who did the first and third episodes, actually compared Colin to guys like Clark Gable, Humphrey Bogart, and Harrison Ford. I mean, that's
high praise.
The other character that you're going to know already is Sharon, Winston's right-hand man, who's played by the late Lance Reddick in the movies and is just an icon in the franchise. For the Continental, that honor will go to Ayomide Adagun in his first ever role, which he says is perfect for him since his parents came from Nigeria to the UK just like the character. Some of the new characters you need to know include Winston's brother Frankie, played by Ben Robson, and the overbearing Cormac, played by Mel Gibson. Now, he's the guy running the Continental in the 70s and has a stranglehold over the brothers that basically sets the whole series in motion after they decide it's time to take over and seize control.
Find him, because if you don't, I'll bring the weight of this whole institution down on you both.
One of my favorite things about this show is there's a whole bunch of badass women playing what we can only assume are assassins. That includes amateur MMA fighter and winner of the reality competition Vietnam superstar Nung Kate as Yen, Jessica Elaine from Steven Soderbergh's The Laundromat as Lou, and world-famous contortionist Marina Mazeppa, a runner-up on America's Got Talent in 2019 as Gretel. I mean, that is an arsenal of talent, if I do say so myself.
Can you dig it?
And in a bit of a left turn compared to the villain-centric movies, Michelle Prada plays a detective named KD and is considered to be the moral center of the Continental. Prada actually previously starred on Fear the Walking Dead and Vita. Wait, morals?
What have you done?
Now, as far as behind the scenes goes, The Continental was developed, written, and executive produced by Greg Coolidge, Kirk Ward, and Sean Simmons, with John Wick director Chad Stahelski serving as an executive producer. And Stahelski is actually the one credited for bringing in director Albert Hughes, who, along with his brother Alan, is known for movies like Menace to Society and Dead Presidents. I mean, in other words, he's legendary. Albert said there were several goals for this show, including going deeper into the rules and mythology while expanding the physical scope of the Continental, showing fans areas of the iconic hotel that have actually never been seen before. Say no more, but actually, I'm going to say a little more. So also directing an episode is Charlotte Brandstrom, who has worked on shows like Grey's Anatomy, Madame Secretary, The Witcher, and The Lord of the Rings, The Rings of Power. So to put a nice bow on it, two directors who are definitely capable of creating and working in very distinct worlds. Oh, and one last thing, there's going to be amazing Easter eggs that'll get you excited if you're a hardcore Wick fan. Anyways, long story long, get ready to enjoy this high-octane three-part adventure. Okay, friends, I promise that is officially everything you need to know before you go watch The Continental when it hits Peacock on September 22nd. Also, don't forget to check out the second episode on September 29th and the third on October 6th.